All right, so we're getting ready for a record press operator interview.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool gig. We've got the RoleCatcher resources right here, the
Mhm.
career guide and the interview guide, even some info on their AI tools.
Right?
This deep dive is going to give you that extra edge to really nail this interview.
It's exciting we're seeing this huge vinyl comeback.
Yeah?
Skilled record press operators are in such high demand.
Yeah,
It's a craft that's more valuable now than ever.
definitely. And it's more than just pushing buttons.
Oh, yeah.
So what makes this role so special?
Understanding the whole process from raw materials to the final record,
Yep.
There's quality control,
Mm.
troubleshooting, even an artistic element to it,
Mhm.
making sure every pressing sounds perfect.
Right.
It's a blend of technical know-how and a passion for music.
Yeah. So let's jump right into that interview guide.
Okay.
One question you're likely to get is, what experience do you have in operating record presses? What's the best way to approach this, especially if someone doesn't have direct experience?
Honesty is key, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but you can still highlight transferable skills.
Yeah.
Have you worked with other machinery?
Right.
Maybe you've tinkered with electronics or have a knack for those detail-oriented tasks.
Yeah.
Even something like meticulously setting up a home audio system shows you care about sound quality.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's about connecting those dots for the interviewer,
Exact.
showcasing that even without direct experience,
Right.
you have the aptitude and passion to learn quickly.
Exactly. Enthusiasm and a willingness to learn are huge in this field.
Okay.
Now, let's say they follow up with, can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a technical issue?
Okay, so how do you recommend tackling that one?
Think of a time you had to solve a problem, even if it wasn't with a record press.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your computer crashed and you had to figure out a workaround.
Yeah.
Walk them through your thought process, how you identified the problem, what steps you took, how you ultimately resolved it.
So it's about showcasing those problem-solving skills in action.
Right. And it's a good opportunity to show off your resourcefulness.
Mm-hmm.
Did you consult manuals or search online forums or reach out to someone with expertise?
Right.
These all show initiative.
Speaking of initiative, another common question is, how do you ensure quality control throughout the pressing process?
Okay.
What are some key points to hit there?
This is where you dive into specifics.
Okay.
Talk about inspecting those metal plates called stampers.
Okay.
They're what actually create the grooves in the vinyl for any imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are the lacquer discs, the master recordings,
Right.
which need to be handled with extreme care.
Yeah.
You'll want to explain how you'd check for things like scratches or dust that could affect the sound.
And what about actually operating the press?
Yeah.
Are there specific things to mention there?
Definitely talk about monitoring the temperature and pressure gauges, ensuring they're within the correct range for optimal pressing.
Mm-hmm.
You could also mention inspecting the finished records for any visual defects like warps or blemishes, as well as listening for any audio anomalies.
So it's really about demonstrating a thorough understanding of the entire process from start to finish.
Absolutely. Now, they might dig a little deeper and ask, what are some common defects you might encounter and how would you address them?
Okay, this is where that technical knowledge really comes in handy.
Exactly. You could talk about things like off-center holes,
Uh-huh.
where the hole in the middle of the record isn't perfectly centered.
Right.
That can affect playback.
Yeah.
Another one is non-fill, where the vinyl doesn't completely fill the grooves in the stamper,
Right.
resulting in a thin or weak-sounding record.
So what would you say about addressing those issues?
Well, for off-center holes, it might involve adjusting the spindle or the clamping mechanism.
Okay.
For non-fill, it could be related to temperature pressure or even the quality of the vinyl compound. You want to show that you understand these potential problems and can take steps to troubleshoot and correct them.
All right, let's move on to another important question. How do you handle equipment malfunctions or breakdowns during the pressing process?
Right.
This one sounds a bit stressful.
It can be, but it's also a chance to showcase your calmness under pressure.
Okay.
The key here is to highlight your commitment to safety first.
Right.
Always follow established protocols, shut down the equipment if necessary, and report the issue immediately.
What about actually fixing the problem? Should you talk about that too?
It depends on the company's policy and your level of expertise.
Okay.
If they have dedicated maintenance personnel, you'd probably defer to them.
Right.
But you can still talk about your ability to troubleshoot basic issues.
Okay.
Maybe you've identified a loose connection or a faulty gauge in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Highlight those experiences.
So it's about demonstrating that you can handle those high-pressure situations safely and effectively.
Exactly. Now, let's say they follow up with, Have you ever had to stop production due to a malfunction? What was the situation and what did you do?
Okay, this is where you need a specific example ready to go.
Right. Think back to a time when you had to deal with a machine breakdown or a similar situation.
Mm-hmm.
Walk them through the scenario, what went wrong, what steps you took to address it, and what the outcome was.
Okay.
Be specific and showcase your problem-solving skills.
Great advice. Now let's switch gears for a moment and talk about RoleCatcher's AI tools.
Okay.
How can these help someone prepare for an interview like this?
Their AI can be super helpful.
Yeah?
For example, their resume analysis tool can scan job descriptions and suggest ways to tailor your resume to highlight the skills that are most relevant to the specific role.
It's like having a personalized resume coach.
Exactly.
Okay,
It can even help you rephrase your experience so it resonates with the hiring manager.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
And what about practicing your answers? Can their AI help with that too?
absolutely. They have an AI-powered mock interview tool
Okay.
that lets you practice answering common interview questions and get feedback on your delivery.
Wow.
It's like having a virtual interview coach helping you refine your answers and boost your confidence.
That's incredible. So you're not just going into that interview prepared. You're going in feeling confident and ready to shine.
Exactly. And remember, preparation is key.
Right.
Now let's get back to those interview questions and tackle a few more before we wrap up this part of the deep dive.
Sounds good to me.
Oh,
Let's dive back in. Another important topic is minimizing waste.
okay.
How would you approach a question like, how do you ensure that waste is minimized during the pressing process?
This is a chance to show that you're conscious of both efficiency and sustainability.
Hmm.
Talk about optimizing material usage, maybe by carefully planning out cutting patterns for the vinyl.
Okay.
You can also mention recycling any excess vinyl or properly disposing of unusable scraps.
So it's about demonstrating a commitment to responsible practices, both for the company's bottom line and for the environment.
Exactly. Now, let's say they follow up with, have you ever implemented a process improvement that resulted in reduced waste?
Okay, here's another chance to share a specific example from your past experience.
Right. Think about a time when you identified a source of waste and took steps to reduce it.
Yeah.
Maybe you streamlined a workflow, improved a storage system, or even just raised awareness among your colleagues.
Right.
The key is to highlight your initiative and your impact.
Great advice. Now let's move on to a question that's all about staying ahead of the curve. How do you stay current with industry trends and advancements in record-pressing technology?
Okay.
This is where you showcase your passion for the craft and your dedication to continuous learning.
Right. You could mention industry publications you follow, online forums you participate in, or even conferences you've attended.
What about hands-on experience? Does that
Mhm.
count too?
Absolutely. Maybe you've experimented with different pressing techniques or new vinyl compounds in your own time.
Okay.
Maybe you've even built your own simple record lathe.
Wow.
Anything that shows you're actively seeking out new knowledge and pushing the boundaries is a huge plus.
So it's about demonstrating that you're not just content with the status quo.
Right.
You're always looking for ways to learn and grow.
Exactly. And remember, the vinyl industry is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
New technologies and techniques are emerging all the time.
Right.
Employers want to see that you're excited to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
Yeah, we've tackled some of the most common interview questions for record press operators,
Right.
explored how to showcase your skills and experience, and even touched on how RoleCatcher's AI tools can give you an edge.
Absolutely.
In the next part, we'll continue our deep dive into the world of record press operators,
Right.
exploring career paths and discussing even more essential interview tips.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're ready to dive into even more of those essential interview questions that can really make a difference in landing that record press operator job.
I'm excited to keep going. Where should we pick up?
Let's talk about production quotas.
Okay.
You're likely to get a question like, how do you ensure production quotas are met or exceeded?
Okay.
This is where you want to showcase your efficiency and work ethic.
What are some key things to emphasize in your answer?
Focus on your ability to work quickly and accurately. Talk about strategies you use to stay organized and manage your time effectively.
Right.
Maybe you have a system for prioritizing tasks or breaking down large projects into smaller, more manageable steps.
So it's about showing that you're not just meeting the minimum requirements, you're striving to exceed expectations.
Right. And it's always a good idea to back up your claims with specific examples.
Okay.
Maybe you implemented a new workflow that increased production by 10%. or consistently exceeded your daily targets. Those kinds of details make your answer more compelling.
It shows you're not just talking the talk.
Right.
You're walking the walk.
Exactly.
Now, let's say they follow up with, can you give me an example of a time when you had to go above and beyond to meet a tight deadline?
This is where you really want to shine a light on your dedication and problem-solving skills.
Okay.
Think about a time when you faced a challenging situation and rose to the occasion. Maybe you had to work extra hours, collaborate closely with your team, or find creative solutions to overcome obstacles.
This is about painting a picture for the interviewer, showing them that you're not afraid of hard work and that you're committed to delivering results.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears for a moment and talk about workplace safety.
Okay.
This is a crucial aspect of any industrial job, and interviewers will definitely want to gauge your understanding of safety protocols.
That makes sense. A
Okay.
question like, how do you maintain a safe and clean work environment? Seems pretty standard.
It is, and it's your chance to showcase your attention to detail and your commitment to following procedures.
Okay. Start by highlighting your knowledge of basic safety guidelines, like wearing appropriate personal protective equipment.
Okay.
Things like safety glasses, hearing protection, and gloves.
And what about keeping the workspace tidy?
That's important too.
Yeah.
Mention your practices for maintaining a clean and organized work area.
Okay.
Things like wiping down surfaces, properly storing tools and materials, and promptly addressing any spills or hazards.
It's all about demonstrating that you take safety seriously and that you're proactive about creating a safe environment for yourself and your colleagues.
Exactly. Now they might also ask about specific safety training you've received.
Like what kind of training?
Well, things like forklift operation, hazard communication, first aid, and CPR are all relevant to a record press operator role.
Right.
If you have any certifications in these areas, definitely mention them.
So it's about showcasing your qualifications and demonstrating that you're well prepared to handle the safety demands of the job.
Right. Now, let's circle back to those RoleCatcher resources.
We talked earlier about their AI-powered resume analysis and mock interviews. But remember, they also have a wealth of information on different careers, including a detailed career guide for record press operators.
Oh, right. That's a valuable resource for anyone preparing for an interview in this field.
It is. It provides insights into the industry, typical job duties, potential career paths, and even salary expectations.
Because you can really get a good understanding of what this career is all about and what you can expect in terms of growth and opportunities.
Exactly. And it can help you prepare for questions about your career goals and aspirations.
Right.
Now let's get back to those interview questions.
Okay.
We've talked about safety and production.
Right.
But there's another key area that we need to address.
Okay.
Staying up to date in this ever-evolving field.
You're talking about a question like, how do you stay current with industry trends and advancements in record pressing technology?
Right.
You got it. This is where you showcase your passion for the craft and your commitment to continuous learning. What are some good ways to demonstrate that?
You could talk about industry publications you subscribe to, online forums or communities you participate in, or even conferences and workshops you've attended.
Okay.
Maybe there's a blog or a YouTube channel you follow that focuses on record pressing techniques or new technologies.
What if someone doesn't have a lot of experience in the industry yet? How can they still show that they're eager to learn and grow?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
They can talk about their willingness to seek out information and resources.
Okay.
Maybe they've been reading books or articles about vinyl production, or perhaps they've been experimenting with different audio editing software.
So it's really about demonstrating a genuine interest in the field and a willingness to invest time and effort into expanding their knowledge.
Exactly. And remember, learning is an ongoing process, especially in a field like record pressing, where new technologies and techniques are constantly emerging.
Right.
So,
Okay, let's move on to another important topic, material handling. A question like, how do you ensure that raw materials are stored and handled properly? Seems pretty straightforward.
right.
But what are some key things to keep in mind when answering?
You want to highlight your understanding of inventory management, material safety, and quality control.
Okay.
Start by discussing your experience with receiving and inspecting raw materials, ensuring they meet the required specifications.
So it's about being detail-oriented and making sure that everything is in order from the very beginning.
Exactly. Then you can talk about proper storage techniques,
Okay.
such as labeling and organizing materials to prevent contamination or damage.
And what about the actual handling of the materials?
You want to demonstrate your knowledge of safe lifting techniques, proper use of equipment like pallet jacks or forklifts,
Okay.
and the importance of following established procedures to prevent accidents or spills.
It's all about showcasing your ability to handle those materials responsibly and efficiently.
Right. Now, they might also ask about inventory management.
Like how you track materials and ensure there's always enough on hand.
Exactly. This is where you can talk about your experience with inventory systems,
Okay.
whether it's a manual system or a computerized database.
So you're demonstrating your organizational skills and your ability to manage resources effectively.
Right now, let's say they follow up with, have you ever had to deal with a shortage of materials? What did you do?
Okay, so this is another chance to showcase your problem-solving skills in action.
Exactly. Think about a time when you faced a similar challenge.
Hmm.
Did you find alternative suppliers? Did you prioritize production based on available materials?
Right.
Did you communicate effectively with your team and other departments to find a solution?
It's all about demonstrating your ability to think on your feet and find creative solutions to keep things running smoothly.
Right now, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the importance of multitasking.
Okay.
In a fast-paced production environment, it's essential to be able to juggle multiple priorities effectively.
I imagine a question like, how do you prioritize tasks when working on multiple pressing jobs simultaneously would come up in an interview.
Absolutely. And it's a great opportunity to showcase your organizational skills, your ability to work under pressure, and your commitment to meeting deadlines.
What are some key things to highlight in your answer?
Start by emphasizing your ability to assess the urgency and importance of different tasks.
Okay.
Talk about strategies you use to stay organized, like using to-do lists, calendars, or project management software.
So it's about demonstrating that you have a system in place to keep track of everything and ensure that nothing falls through the cracks.
Exactly. You can also mention your ability to delegate tasks effectively, to communicate clearly with your team, and to adjust your priorities as needed based on changing circumstances.
It's all about showing that you can handle the demands of a fast-paced production environment without getting overwhelmed.
Right now, let's say they follow up with, can you describe a time when you had to manage multiple projects simultaneously? How did you prioritize your workload?
Okay, this is where you'd want to share a specific example from your past experience.
Think about a time when you faced a similar challenge. Walk them through the different projects you were working on, how you prioritized them, what strategies you used to stay organized, and how you ultimately achieve success.
It's all about demonstrating your ability to handle pressure, manage your time effectively, and deliver results even when juggling multiple priorities.
Right, and remember, it's not just about getting things done.
Right.
It's about doing them well and meeting the required standards.
Right.
Which brings us to our next key topic, quality control.
Yes. Ensuring that those finished records meet the highest standards.
Exactly.
A question like, how do you ensure that finished products meet customer specifications and quality standards? Seems pretty crucial.
It is. This is where you really want to emphasize your meticulous attention to detail and your understanding of the importance of quality control in every step of the process.
What are some key things to highlight in your answer?
Start by discussing your experience with reviewing customer specifications and ensuring that you fully understand the requirements for each job.
Okay.
Talk about your process for conducting thorough quality checks throughout the production process, not just at the very end.
So it's about being proactive and catching potential issues early on rather than waiting until the very end.
Exactly. You can also mention specific techniques you use to ensure quality, like visually inspecting records for any defects, listening to test pressings to check for audio anomalies, and using measuring tools to verify dimensions and weight.
It's all about demonstrating that you're not just pushing buttons. You're deeply invested in ensuring that every record that leaves the press meets the highest standards.
Right, and it's about taking pride in your work and understanding the impact it has on the end customer.
Now, they might also ask about your experience with working with quality control teams or implementing process improvements.
Absolutely. If you have any experience in those areas, be sure to highlight it.
So if you've ever helped develop new quality control procedures or identified ways to streamline the process and reduce errors, those are all valuable things to share.
Exactly. It shows that you're not just following instructions, you're actively thinking about ways to improve the process and ensure that the final product is the best it can be.
And now as we wrap up this part of the deep dive, I want to remind our listeners that RoleCatcher's AI tools can be incredibly helpful in preparing for these types of interview questions.
Absolutely. Their AI-powered mock interview tool can give you personalized feedback on your answers and help you refine your delivery.
Right.
It's like having a virtual coach in your corner helping you boost your confidence and nail those tricky questions.
That's a great resource. And remember, practice makes perfect.
Right.
The more you practice answering these questions, the more comfortable and confident you'll feel during the actual interview.
Exactly. Now, in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore some career insights, share some final tips for interview success, and leave you with some thought-provoking questions to consider as you embark on this exciting career journey.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. We're back for the final part of our deep dive into the world of record press operators. We've covered so much from those interview questions to RoleCatcher's AI.
Now let's look at the bigger picture. This isn't just a job, it's being part of something special, the revival of vinyl.
Right. It's so cool how this analog format is making a comeback. What's driving that, and how does a record press operator fit into all of this?
People are rediscovering the warmth and authenticity of vinyl. It's a tangible experience, and record press operators are the ones who bring that music to life. They're the bridge between the artist's recording and the listener's turntable.
So you're not just pressing records.
Yeah.
You're preserving a musical legacy and connecting with people who really appreciate the art form.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is. And let's not forget the technical skill involved. It's about precision, understanding the nuances of the pressing process, and ensuring each record meets those high-quality standards.
Speaking of standards, let's touch on something from the RoleCatcher Career Guide. I found interesting it mentioned potential career paths for record press operators. What are some possibilities beyond that entry-level position?
Oh, there's definitely room for growth. You could move into a supervisory role, leading a team of operators and overseeing production. Or maybe you specialize in quality control, becoming the expert in spotting and resolving those tricky pressing defects.
So you could become a team lead, a quality assurance specialist.
Mm.
There are options to build a career in this field.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the value of experience as you master the craft. You become a valuable asset to any pressing plant.
That makes sense. Now, before we wrap up, what are some final pieces of advice for someone heading into that record press operator interview?
First and foremost, be prepared. We've gone through a lot of questions today. Practice your answers. Think of specific examples and be ready to articulate your skills and passion.
And don't forget about RoleCatcher's AI tools. Their resume analysis can help you fine-tune your resume for this specific role, and their mock interview tool can help you refine your answers and build confidence.
Those are fantastic resources. Second, be yourself. Let your personality shine through. Enthusiasm is contagious, and it shows you're genuinely interested in the role.
Right. And don't forget to ask questions. It shows you're engaged and curious. What are some good questions someone could ask during the interview?
You could ask about the company's culture, their commitment to sustainability, the types of projects they work on, anything that helps you get a better sense of the work environment and the team you'd be joining.
Excellent point. It's a two-way street, and asking thoughtful questions can leave a lasting impression.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought. Think about this. How do you see the future of vinyl records, and what role do you want to play in it?
That's a great question to ponder. It goes beyond just getting the job. It's about your vision for this industry and how you can contribute to its continued success.
Maybe you see yourself mastering the technical aspects, becoming a sought-after expert in pressing techniques. Or maybe you envision yourself as an advocate for the art form, sharing your passion with others.
Whatever your vision may be, remember this. Your dedication, your unique skills, and your enthusiasm have the power to shape the future of this amazing medium. So go out there, ace that interview, and make your mark on the world of vinyl.